In this special reInvent edition of IoT All the Things, we're streaming to you across AWS on air.
And we'll be talking with our friend from Adlink, Rob Beauville, and discussing person and object recognition.
There's a lot of energy this week, and we have our fellow solutions architect, Piyush Batra, standing by. He's moderating the tweet stream and will feed us your questions, so stick around.
There's a lot of great info to share ahead on this special projects edition of IoT All the Things.
Hello, I'm Erin McGill. I'm a solutions developer here at AWS. My team and I, we develop and release automated solutions that you as an AWS customer can launch in your own account. I love all things IoT. I love that I can take some code and some hardware and make something physical happen. I'm here today with my co-host, Tim. Hey, Tim.
Hey, everybody. Tim Madison, Principal Partner Solutions Architect for IoT. So I basically spend all day at work building IoT solutions with partners and all of my free time building IoT solutions for myself at home. So very much into it.
It's reInvent season, so there's always a great source of buzz around technology and features and releases. So we wanted to start off with some introductory things. Tim, what are we excited about this week?
Okay, I personally am very excited about the Lambda announcements. A couple of weeks back, I was trying to find a way to launch a Docker container in Lambda, and there's a project that does it. And before I even got a chance to finish it, we launched container support. So great. Now I can take my infrequently used Docker containers and put them as Lambda functions and just run them as I need to, which is really cool.
It's so cool. It's really exciting. We've also brought down the billing time, so you'll now be billed millisecond billing. That's down from 100 millisecond billing, which is amazing. You can also use up to 10 gigabytes of memory and 6 vCPU cores if you need to. Another thing that I think is really exciting is the release of ECR public repository support. I think that's amazing. So if you are building your Docker containers and you want those in the world, whether they have an AWS account or not, to be able to search them publicly, now you can do it.
And run them as Lambda functions. It's amazing. So both of those things I've been waiting for a long time, and now they're both here. So it's great.
Oh, yeah. So we've been talking about it all week, so we're pretty excited about it. Before we bring on our guest, I wanted to remind you, our viewers, that you should tweet your comments to hashtag AWS on air, where our esteemed moderator, Piyush, thank you, Piyush. He's watching for your tweets in case you have any questions or comments for Adlink, our guest, or for the two of us.
Cool.
All right. So now that we've got all of those things out of the way, we're so excited to bring onto the show our special guest from Adlink, Rob Beauville. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Welcome.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we are really excited to have you on today and to talk about your project. But before we get to your project, can you tell us a little bit about your role with Adlink and maybe some history with you and your history with IoT?
Yeah, absolutely. So my day job is head of engineering and architecture for Edge Solutions at Adlink. So we're a global AI and IoT company with customers all over the world. And my day job is really to kind of bring together all of the greatest technology we have and technology our partners have and kind of bring them together into solutions that solve real world problems. So I'm based in the UK, as you might be able to tell. But you know, AWS are one of our greatest partners. We work together on the Lookout for Vision solutions and the Panorama solutions that were announced this week. And my job is really to try and bring together a great user experience and make IoT and Edge AI really simple.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. We always talk about developer tools and trying to make things easy to get people into it. It's great to know that you guys have that as a part of what you do every day. So can you tell us a little bit about what Adlink specifically does?
Yeah, so our history is rich in hardware, but not just in hardware. It's also rich in software. So we're all about getting the right data to the right place at the right time to make the right decision. And we class ourselves as experts in edge AI, machine vision for IoT. So we class ourselves as the experts in being able to take our horizontal toolbox that we've created and bring it to our customers to enact digital transformation by creating solutions to automate manual processes. We've got vast experience in industrial smart solutions for warehouse logistics, defect detection, and machine health for manufacturing.
Got it. And you've been doing a lot of work with SageMaker and Greengrass over the past year. I think we've been collaborating on some of that.
Oh yes,
And
yes, lots and lots. Yes.
yeah. And ADLink Edge is a piece of software that's incorporated with Intel OpenVINO. Is that right?
100%. So our first dev kit that was launched was based around OpenVINO.
That is really cool. So thank you for being with us today and telling us a little bit about ADLink. But what would you say is like the core mission of ADLink with your solutions and what you guys are working on?
So the perception of machine vision AI is that it's really difficult, and the truth is, it really is difficult. We've just wrapped it in a world-class user experience to get people off the ground, up and running very easily, to make IoT Edge AI simple, and we've probably gone a little bit too far to make it too simple at times.
So it's
Well,
like
there's nothing wrong with that.
anybody can do it now.
Well, you say anybody, but yeah, until you hit technical issues, yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I love it. There's a lot of buzz about companies that are working towards and people that are making AI and computer vision and IoT easier. So always happy to hear about that. But now I'm really excited to get to your project, not just because it has a snarky name, but it's got a lot of cool technology in it. So the featured project of this week is called Get Off My Lawn.
Get off my lawn! Okay, all right. Now with that teaser, Rob, what is this project and why are we calling it Get Off My Lawn?
So here in the UK, we locked down because of COVID, the end of March, and the exponential growth of online retail and home deliveries. So I have a window just here, and I noticed during lockdown that every delivery driver in the area used my front lawn as a thoroughfare to the rest of my street to deliver packages. And I used to open the window and shout at those delivery drivers 5 times a day, even when I was on calls.
I believe we have a picture of you back then.
Yeah, there I am. see, I've aged a lot less since then. My hair's come back a bit as well.
Now you're so
Little
relaxed
Benjamin
because the
Button.
system takes care of it.
That's
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so now you don't have to do that anymore because of your project.
Exactly. And I used so I kind of sat here and I said to myself one day, I have all of this cool tech. I have developer boards, I have industrial cameras, I have the ability to take our software, implement it on those cameras, and actually see people walking down the side of my house before they actually get onto my lawn. And at that point, send me a text message so I could chase them off. Now, I did think about tripwires and trebuchets and everything, but this was the best solution.
Yeah. So with that said, do you think you can give us a demo of it and show it end to end? People love to see demos of this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
Show it in action.
So what I've got here is I've got my device, which is my Visi AI. It's been deployed with the software, and as you can see, I'm about to demonstrate a stream. The stream is taking a standard model from OpenVINO, which is detecting fire hydrants and cars and trucks and people. And the people element is the thing that I'm most interested in. I could, if I wanted to, add a specific model to make the processing a little bit more efficient, so to detect pedestrians specifically. And you can see here I'm adding it to one of our model managers ahead of deploying it to an inference engine. And this is just really to improve the efficiency of the inferencing that's going on at the edge. And if I want to, I can just drag it onto an inference engine. And I will explain all this in far more detail shortly. But the key thing for me is to actually understand that my devices on the network, I can detect them, I can find their IP address. And in this instance, I can go through to our version of Node-RED. And Node-RED with Visi AI comes pre-configured with a flows file that has a data reader that then breaks data down and understands what it's seeing. And in this case, when I look at debug mode, you can see I'm detecting people and cars and fire hydrants, all the things you guys saw a minute ago in the video. This is able to break down. Now, the key thing for this project was to take the Twilio node we'd added to the project and actually configure it so that it would send me an SMS every time in this case, it saw a delivery driver. So you can see here, now I have to hold my hands up. In terms of a live demo, I've already set up my Twilio account to be able to process SMS and process and actually have a phone number in my region to be able to communicate with me directly. Now, fun story.
But that's relatively simple, right? It's pretty straightforward.
Oh yeah. It took me 5 minutes. In fact, it took me longer to work out I needed an in-country phone number to send me the SMS. I did also spam some of the guys in the office, by the way, who were not that keen. The fact that I'd put their phone numbers in when I was testing. But so I configured it all. I deployed it. You see here, I'm about to connect the reporting a person to that node. But then I kind of thought to myself, well, I don't want the standard off-the-shelf message of I saw a person. So let's reconfigure the message because somebody else in the office could have decided to spam me back, as us engineers are. So I put in a specific message that said, Visi AI again, another delivery driver's arrived. And I refrained from saying, you need to go and chase them off. So once I configured all of that and deployed it, it was really just a case of sitting with my phone and waiting.
Okay. So now you've set the trap. Everything's all ready.
Yes, I've set the trap. Now the trap's been set. And then it was a case of simply sitting back and waiting and understanding every time somebody walked down the side of my house that I would receive an SMS. And here comes one of those pesky, he detects a person with a recognizable package under his arm. A dashing person, I must say. But I did receive that SMS that I programmed in, and I could then head off those delivery drivers.
Great. Yeah, and I recognized that person pretty quickly.
I wonder why.
So I love the Node-RED. I love the fact that you had that whole flow laid out, and then you could just wire it up to the Twilio node, and just makes building all these things really easy. And those software components like Node-RED make things very, very convenient for people to build. But let's touch upon what are the physical components that are in this this demo that you just showed us.
So the physical components, just of this specific demo, I've got the Visi AI. I also have a Logitech HD webcam. And because of the location of where it was all set up, I had a Ethernet booster that plugged into my home's mains power supply, so it could connect Ethernet across the network in my home.
And that Movidius VPU, that is part of your Visi AI?
Yeah, so if we just look underneath the Visi, you see this fan connected. That's actually cooling the VPU, which allows us to offer a slimmed down version of a developer board with the VPU that actually enables us to do all of the inferencing from the OpenVINO application directly on the VPU versus the CPU.
And those of you out there who may not know, VPU is a video processing unit.
Yes.
So pictures of your setup. I want to see what this looks like.
So you can see here, I have my Visi AI plugged into my Wi-Fi and network booster. That's then, you see the cable going off to the side, that's going out of my side door, and it's then plugged into a webcam, which is mounted on one of my outside lights. And yes, zip tied to that just in case it blew off in the wind.
Got to secure it.
Yeah, and here you can see the side of my house, which every delivery driver in the Northeast thought, that's really convenient to get through to the rest of the houses in the street.
It looks pretty convenient to me.
Not so much to me. Yeah, no.
Oh.
So here you see live, we tracking the cables through the door. You can see here in my utility, and because it's plugged into the network, straight out to the internet, I can just get SMSs every time it sees a person.
Cool. Well, your hardware setup looks relatively straightforward. You just have a camera, a Visi AI connected to your network. So how does this work with the software side of the house? Or the
well, that's where all the magic happens. So everything for us starts with our frame streamer. So that's capturing video or even in demo situations, live files that are being inserted into it. And we put that video frame onto the data river. And why we do that is that video frame can be consumed by in this case, our OpenVINO inference engine in terms of this project. But sometimes with our customers and our solutions, we just implement our frame streamer and our training streamer to start with. And the reason for that is to capture those raw images, to then send them to FTP, to disk, to send them off the cloud, to train models from. But to come back a step, once we've got that model and we're using it, we put it into the inference engine, and the inference result is then put onto the data river. And the reason for that, for example, in this solution is we have our version of Node-RED. So we have created a version of Node-RED from the off-the-shelf Node-RED and give it data river input and output nodes that allows us to integrate seamlessly with the data river. The other way we use the inference results is that we can understand the percentage of confidence in what the inference engine's seeing and feed that into our model confidence application. And that inference result is received. And when it falls below a certain threshold, so for example, when it says that delivery driver might only be 60% a person, then it triggers the training streamer to record those images, because it's really important, because I want to make sure they're 100% that person. But once we go through the development life cycle of that model, we then introduce a tool we call Profile Builder. And Profile Builder allows us to discover model managers and inference engines on the network and actually direct a model from a model manager directly to a specific inference engine to then test a model that's been built elsewhere before we apply it to all of our inference engines across the network.
Cool. Okay, so you mentioned inferencing a lot. Just to give people a quick background, can you just cover what inferencing is?
Yeah, so inferencing, if you think about it, when you take a picture as a human being and you look at a picture, you immediately understand the elements that are within that picture. Inferencing is simply teaching a model to understand what that picture represents. So the inference engine applies at really high speed the understanding of the image it's seeing, and then it goes, that's a fire hydrant. And I'm 60% certain that was a fire hydrant this time. And that allows us to drive reactions in the real world that can then have real world effects on robots and whatever the end goal is.
Okay, so you've wired up all those components together. What do you do next? What happens next?
So really, we kind of then go into a cycle where we look at training. So in terms of our relationship with AWS, we implemented our training streamer with an S3 bucket, and then also with SageMaker and a whole pipeline. And we created an app called the AWS Model Streamer. And what that allows us to do is to train a model for a specific end goal, and then potentially deploy it to 100,000 inference engines that are all running the same model. And just for convenience for our customers, we've scripted that into CloudFormation scripts and also into Python
Nice.
scripts. So if they decide to take it,
Great.
they can just deploy it into AWS at their convenience.
Yeah. And then we don't have to do it ourselves. You've already done it for us.
What I
Well,
like
we
to
try
hear.
and help.
And then you also have Twilio in there?
Yeah, so Twilio is one of the nodes we added into our Node-RED application, just because we thought, it's really cool for some of our dev community just to be able to drive something really quickly in real time, just to prove the concept of what they're trying to do.
Okay. And then, so we saw throughout your demonstration of bringing up all of those different components that you were able to use. The connecting tissue is kind of that data river that you brought up. But what is the data river, and how does that help me, or why would somebody use it?
Well, the data river is a mythical, magical creation of Adlink.
Perfectly explained.
It doesn't really exist in the real world until something wants to send data on the data river and something subscribing to that data. So it's a completely
so like
brokerless solution,
cool.
and the data self-discovers in the system to be able to go. If I have a video image to send to 5 applications, I send it once, and those 5 applications receive it all at the same time.
So the data river kind of sounds pretty similar to an IoT topic, but it just doesn't have that message broker in between. And does it support, what types of data does it support? And is like large video frames supported?
Yeah, pretty much any data type. Obviously, when you start dealing with large video files, you hit latency issues in the network. But that's really the only limitation.
That would make sense.
Okay. So you showed us that first image that was your architecture diagram that showed all of the components. This project has not every component, but you have a visual that shows us just the few components in this, just so we can get a final look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So
There we go.
I kind of took everything I didn't need in the solution and just threw it out the window and said, okay, so what's the bare bones I need? So I've got my webcam on the left, my frame streamer, I've got my inference engine that's taking in that video frame and producing an inference result. And I've got a Node-RED application that's then communicating to Twilio to actually just send me SMS every time it sees a person.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Okay. And you mentioned you have support for lots of cameras and, USB, gig, Ethernet, Basler is a camera that we used once before that takes some setup to use, but you just make it work right out of the box, right?
Yeah. So if you look at that architecture I just described, you simply swap out the frame streamer application and put in our Basler frame streamer application, and everything works exactly as it did before.
Okay, cool. So if I'm going to buy one of these, because they seem pretty cool, I would be pretty interested to play around with it myself. And I want to try it. Where would I go to get guidance, or how would I go online to kind of get started?
So once you buy one of these, you can see on here, there's a QR code and a URL. It takes you to our community website called go250.ai. And that's really where you can find all of the user guides to get yourself up and running with everything you can imagine to do with this. But it also provides useful blogs and projects and examples, and also a forum for people who are using Visi to self-support and self-use, and also Adlink monitor that forum as well.
Cool. And we heard that there was a hack going on soon, I think next week.
Yeah, so we're really excited about this. So starting on the 15th of December, we have a hack that's happening with Intel OpenVINO. It's called 2020 Vision Hack. So the first participants to sign up receive an Intel Neural Compute Stick 2. The 10 finalists who make it into phase 2 receive a Visi AI dev kit. And then the lucky winning entrant receives a $10,000 prize plus go-to-market support and collaboration from Adlink.
Nice.
I've been told I'm not allowed to apply, by the way.
Oh, man. Bummer. All right. Well, we're coming close to the end of the episode here, so let's dive in. What's next for Adlink?
Well, our Viz AI is just that starting point for our customers, but we have so many solutions in terms of our platform flexibility, the horizontal toolbox we've created. We also have our smart palette solution with our barcode reader and providing customers the ability to create solutions that enable them to use machine vision to actually
Cool.
streamline their order and manufacturing process to get product and orders out the door 100% accurate and never have to worry about customers receiving bad orders.
That is very cool. That is very cool. Well, Rob, we are at time. It was so great to have you with us today. It was really awesome to get to hear about your Get Off My Lawn project. I think it's near and dear to my heart. And it was great to hear about Adlink. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot for your time, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
All right, I think it brings us to the end of the episode. Just a few reminders for our viewers as we wrap up this week of reInvent.
Yeah, so make sure you check out ADLink's 2020 Vision Hack on Tuesday, December 15th. Piyush is going to share the link with everybody.
Yeah. And next week on our special AWS On Air edition, we'll be speaking with our guest, Relay. Very excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
So join us next Thursday, December 17th at 3:30 Pacific time for IoT All the Things.
And up next is on AWS On Air launch news on the latest What's Next live stream. So thanks. You're going to get to hear about all kinds of new stuff. So it'll be great. Thanks for joining us on this special reInvent edition of IoT All the Things.
Special Projects edition. Have a great reInvent, everyone.